Alright, what's going on, my family? It's your boy Maine, and today we're gonna be doing another video on Bloodlines prior to release. If you guys didn't know, the game got pushed back till the 15th, which is next Friday, depending on when you watch the video. The July 15th is when the game got pushed back. It was originally supposed to release on the 8th, but for certain reasons it got pushed back to the 15th. Now, if you guys do not know, I am currently working on my own game that's going to be releasing. I don't know exactly when, but I did announce it and have official Discord. So if you guys want to join up, the game is called Heroes Online. It is a Marvel, DC, and other hero inspired game. Now, what I want to talk about today is I was kind of discussing with my homies, particularly Sage, and we kind of disagreed on this. So I wanted to see you guys' opinion on how you guys feel like this game could work. So basically, if you guys know, Bloodlines is going to be a hardcore Naruto game. Now, don't quote me on this because I don't know if it was exactly confirmed, but we was kind of discussing back and forth about, you know, permadeath in games, and particularly can it work into a Naruto game. And that's what we're gonna mainly be talking about today, is gauging the community's opinions on if a hardcore Naruto game could work with permadeath. Now, I have mixed opinions on it, but let me just at the beginning say I think the game could work. Obviously, we're going to have to see exactly how it's going to be, but at first glance, I feel like the game could work. It's just something we'll have to check when the time comes. But I don't know exactly. All right, so first things first, if you guys don't know, Bloodlines is going to be in paid access. It's been confirmed. I think it's going to be 300 Robux. So if you ain't got the Robux, you know what I'm saying, right now for you might want to start saving up, because you are gonna need a bit of Robux to play the game. Now let's talk about hardcore games that we know of. The main two successful games made by the same person has been Rogue Lineage, which still has players to this day, as well as Deep Woken, which is still doing pretty good to not have a major update since it first released content-wise, but it still has a really solid fan base, even though that fan base is nowhere near the numbers that it has originally. I think the first release hit like 30-40K players. Now it's sitting around like 6 to 10K players, which overall is still pretty good because it's still been in top earning, which is the most important thing. So yeah, let's talk about in the Naruto standpoint. I think the game is going to be kind of like in the feudal Naruto days before there was like villages, which works perfectly because people just formed their own clans, which you can just have your own clans in the game. But I think the biggest thing comes down to it, like that we were discussing, not that if the game could work at all, because obviously Rogue Lineage and Deep Woken showed that a permadeath game in a sense can work, but I guess the more thing that we were discussing is a permadeath game viable, and is it worth doing it in the community? So let's just discuss Deep Woken for a second. So you guys, like I said, we said Deep Woken released and had a ton of players. It had 30K players, and it was reduced down to 10K players, simply because people didn't like permadeath in games. And I can agree to that point, right? For me, I'm somebody who don't play Deep Woken as much, and it's because of the permadeath. Not just because I think permadeath is bad, but at the same time, I do value my time, and it's like, dang, you put 30 hours into something, and it's all gone in an instant. All the time you spent, it's all gone. All that grinding, all those NPCs you fought, all that you did for those hours, basically was reduced to nothing. And I did see his point in that, like, man, people don't like permadeath games, and while I agree with that, like, dang, I really hate losing all my progress, especially with the time I have right now. I don't have a lot of time to sit on games all day. It's really hard to say that it doesn't work just because of how successful Rogue Lineage and Deep Woken are. There's clearly a very dominant fan base. Maybe you won't touch 100K players. Maybe you won't be the biggest game on Roblox, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work, in my opinion, because it clearly has been shown to play. So I think, I personally think it's more that comes down to a very opinionated discussion of, do you want to lose your progress or not? And I really feel like with hardcore games, losing progress is quite literally the only way to incentivize the game, personally. So let's go back to Deep Woken, right? And I really enjoy Deep Woken. I think it's one of my favorite games I've played on Roblox. I think it's one of the most quality games we've ever seen. But let's take Deep Woken, right? Let's say you got a perfect build and you got level 60 and you had everything that you wanted, right? Eventually, it will come to a point where you just have everything. Like, what, you have nothing to lose, you have also nothing to gain, and you're just stuck in that place. Like, that could also, you know, kill you from playing as well, because you've done everything, you've gained everything. What is the point after you made, you know, after you played a month of making builds? What is the reason? You don't lose anything, you don't gain anything, you just have everything. It's just, at that point, at the end of the day, it's just fighting. Does that equate successful? Because that also would kill the player base as well. And I really feel like it really comes to a touchy subject. I feel like when you're not a RPG grinder, like when you're just not constantly adding new RPG bosses and mechanics, stuff like that, just constantly just PvE, I feel like you just are going to end up in a cycle of players quitting anyway. I think that's just a cycle of Roblox. Players are going to come, players are going to go. When you have a big update, players are going to come back, and after the update loses, players are going to leave again. I think that is the biggest thing. I do think there's a discussion if hardcore game is enjoyable, but I think that enjoyment, it just comes down to personally. Do you enjoy it? And obviously the mass audience is definitely not going to enjoy losing their characters. Roblox is still a very much a younger audience, and even in the older audience, everybody doesn't love roguelike games. It's not the most favorite of genres. Once again, you lose a lot of your progress. But I still don't think that is a reason to say the game is going to be unsuccessful. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, Sage was on the fence of that. Permadeath games just don't work, and he simply based it on the player base of people not wanting to play no more. And I feel like he had a lot of, you know, reasons. Like the player base diminished by what, like I think they all saying they're losing like 75% of their player base. So it's definitely a question and an argument to be had. But I definitely think it comes down to today is a very opinionated. You know what I'm saying? Working and being the most successful is two different things. So for me, I think this game will work great. I think it will be good. I think it'll be good. I've got to see it. But I think the concept itself can be fine. Will it have 100,000 players? Will it be big as something like Shindo? No, it never will be, because you lose your progress. If you do lose your progress, it will never be big as a game like Shindo. People don't like losing progress. But that's just not a reason to say the game can't not work and it will not work because of those said reasons. So yeah, that's about it for me. Hopefully you guys end up enjoying the video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game. I'm excited to see it, man. I really can't wait to see how the game turns out. I'm very, very, very curious. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's going to be cool, and hopefully the game ends up being successful. I'm definitely wishing for a successful release. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna catch you boys later. Today's been your boy iBeMaine signing out. Peace.